So for the last 3 months, I have exclusively been using the Sony FX3 for all of my client shoots. I gave myself no outs. I put the Blackmagics in cases and put them in closets. And to be honest, it's been incredible. What's going on, guys? It has been 3 to 4 months since I've owned the Sony FX3 and originally bought to kind of push me in the direction of using the FX3 for client work because I wanted some alternative or an upgrade from my Blackmagic Pocket 6K. So this is gonna be from the perspective of someone who came from that camera. And this is also going to be from the perspective of somebody who uses the camera in a small team format, usually 2 people on set, running and gunning, operating, interview style story videos with B-roll overlaid. All of that is usually what I do for work, whether it be commercial work, whether it be just story videos for clients, or just some stuff for myself. So that is the perspective that I'm gonna be looking at this review from. And also I'm gonna be discussing my recommendations. So if somebody wants to upgrade their camera to the Sony FX3, if you don't come from a Blackmagic and you come from Nikon or Canon or something and you want an insight, this is the video for you. But since I have been using the camera for the last 3 to 4 months, I can tell you one thing, the pros far outweigh the cons. The cons are very specific, few far and in between, but an overall excellent camera from Sony. And for a second, if we're being honest, I hate how much I love this camera. Like, as someone who tries their best to be objective in their opinion, who tries to give credit where it's due, but also criticize where things can be improved, this camera does a lot, and I mean a lot of things correctly. So that is why I'm so excited about it. That's why I'm so excited to talk about it, to own it, and yeah, it's different. So let's talk about the pros. The big pro and the elephant in the room is the autofocus. Autofocus has been a dream when it comes to interview setups. Autofocus works so well when people want to rock back and forth. The Sony has like sensitivity settings for the autofocus, so putting it on the lowest sensitivity, that way it doesn't rack focus continuously, locking it to the interviewee's eyes, and just going about my day, sitting down, having a snack or something while we're shooting. That's the best thing ever. Autofocus works well when it comes to B-roll. I tend to still manual focus a lot of things. As I've said plenty of times before, autofocus does not know how to tell a story. Like, it is great and convenient and it works perfectly when I need it. But sometimes I want to rack to specific objects. I want to do specific things. I want to convey specific emotions. And autofocus just doesn't do that, but those things are few far and in between. And if I'm filming something like that, I'm probably gonna be using the Blackmagic 6K anyway. Next up is the image stabilization. Holy crap. This camera is lightweight. Obviously, it is a very, very small camera in comparison to like anything else. So to make up for that, it has incredible image stabilization. As somebody who shoots mainly handheld, and I usually shoot with a heavier camera to get me that natural handheld feel, having a very light camera is different, and not having to weigh it down to get some smooth, stabilized shots has been exceptional, and I really, really do enjoy it. If you are mixing this camera's in-body stabilization, or any new camera's in-body stabilization pretty much, with software stabilization, you can get some incredibly smooth shots. I've done a lot, and I mean a lot, of the B-roll I ever do handheld, and some of the slider-like movements, I'm impressed. I am actually impressed. Speaking of size, like, the size and compactness of this camera is definitely a pro. My gear case is so much lighter. Like, it's kind of insane because I don't have to carry around too much stuff now. Having 2 small FX3 bodies in that super large case may be overkill, and I'm working that out. But for right now, dude, I love how small and compact this thing is. If I don't need audio, like removing the top handle, just going with a small shooter has been great. The potential con I saw going into that was, one was the weight and stabilization thing, but you can always, rig it out and add weight to it. But 2 was client impression. as I've grown to shoot over the last year and a half with the Blackmagic and stuff like that, I was skeptical about the impression a new, smaller body flip screen, would look to the client. But the moment they realized I had interview autofocus, they were exceptionally happy because they know the pain of when somebody moves back and forth out of focus. And that far outweighed the look of this camera. And plus, the moment I slap microphones and a matte box on that thing anyway, it's going to look quote unquote professional to new clients. And that is honestly not a big deal at all. If people are coming to you for the work that they've already seen, then you could be shooting with a freaking iPhone. If they want your work, the look of your camera does not matter. So get out of our own heads and get out of your head, and I'll get out of mine, and we can move on to the next thing. Next up, bro, the audio handle. The audio handle's wild. Like, I knew this is exactly what I wanted. I actually got the FX3. So I bought, if you don't know, I bought the A7S3. As soon as it came out, day one, I was pre-ordering it. And very, very shortly after that, Sony said, hey, for those of you noobs who bought the A7S3, we're making an FX3. And I had to go through the process of selling my A7S3, getting an FX3, realizing how amazing it was, getting a second FX3, and then switching completely to the Sony kit, therefore bringing you this review. The top handle, having multiple inputs, having so much versatility, and having everything just built in right at the top has been extraordinary. And I mean, so much fun. The one thing I loved about the Blackmagic was the Xlr Inputs, something I had never had before. And so, of course, the thing that I love about this is removable Xlr Inputs. So there when I need them and gone when I don't. But dude, there's just something so convenient about being able to get professional run and gun audio straight from the top handle. And I definitely do love it and appreciate it. Lastly, on my initial pros list, file size. As somebody who has been filming Blackmagic 6K RAW for a year and a half, I have like 40 terabytes of storage. Bro, the footage is massive. And being able to record a 40-minute interview and not fill up the entire hard drive of my computer, best thing ever, hands down. I do love it. B-RAW is exceptionally good for most things, but of course each camera has the thing it does best at, and interview footage from the Blackmagic 6K in 6K is massive. This thing, I get to run two 256 gig cards. I get to get like 4 hours of recording time on that versus the 1 terabyte card I used to run on the Blackmagic and get 180 minutes, so 3 hours to the terabyte. So it's long story short, it's like 5 times smaller file size. That works for me because most of the interview stuff I do is like 3 to 5 people being interviewed sometimes to make a story video. And if 3 to 5 people have 40-minute interviews with 2 cameras, that creates a 2 terabyte project size. And the moment I had to make a 2 terabyte project was literally the day I switched to the FX3 just to see if anything could be better. So those are my initial thoughts on the pros of this camera. Those are the first things that I noticed while using. As I said, I've been using it constantly for 3 months and it has been a dream. Like, image quality is a given. Every camera nowadays has incredible image quality. So I was not tripping from switching from 6K B-RAW to 4K 10-bit like at all, because the people I deliver to are usually uploading videos in 720p or 1080p, and it's really not that deep. Not yet, at least. But I do want to talk to you about the cons. So the first con of the Sony FX3 from the perspective of somebody who switched from Blackmagic, the menu system is trash. The menu system, any interaction while I'm filming, anything like that, in comparison to the Blackmagic 6K, trash. Don't want to hear it, because the 6K and Blackmagic in general, that is what they do just right. Like, nobody does it like Blackmagic. The menu system on there is so streamlined, touchscreen, super large screen, that way you can interact with. So it's built to be interacted with by touch. This thing, although this does have a much better menu system than the previous Sonys I've owned, in comparison to the Blackmagic, it's just not as good. And don't get me wrong, I have this thing memorized. I know the menu system in and out. Like, if I need to change something, I know how to get there. I'm rarely interacting with the menu system anyway because I have everything customized and programmed on this thing. But just for cons' sake, you cannot beat the Blackmagic in its menu system. And that was one downside of switching, of course. These are gonna be nitpicky. So next up on this quote unquote cons list, the top handle is almost perfectly too short. Like, my pinky sometimes slips. So what I have a monitor mount that I mount on this back screw. It basically extends the top handle so it's perfect length. But what I just found out is Condor Blue has the perfect solution for this. They have a top handle extender that lets you mount a monitor up top. It gives you a cold shoe mount. It gives you everything that this top handle should have been. And the great part about it is you get to keep using your audio XLR port. So what I was struggling with was if I wanted to use a good top handle, I couldn't get good audio. But now Condor Blue, thank you. Thank you for just making the best camera even better. Like, wow, hands down. I definitely can't wait to get my hands on that top handle extender. Of course, obviously it has to be addressed. One of the cons is no B-raw. This doesn't apply to everybody. This is only applying to people who have been spoiled by B-raw workflow. Like, the forgivingness of B-raw is exceptional, but the file size is extraordinary. And I'm gonna be honest, I've been doing my best and this has helped me just get it right in camera. And honestly, it's been worth that because that file size trade-off has worth it. You do get much less room for error, but you know, if you're doing things right and you're shooting things perfectly in camera from jump, then you don't need that leeway. But B-raw, I don't want to down talk B-raw at all, because man, if you've tried it and if you've used it, it's just every camera just needs it, if we're being honest. And the last con, most obviously, the price. This thing is twice as expensive as the Blackmagic. It's like two Blackmagics, if we're being honest. This thing is a $4,000 camera. It is, oh my God, so expensive. But thankfully I was in a position to where I had a chance to get the camera that I wanted. And I was able to just full commit and go FX3. Originally I was aiming for the FX6, but I wanted to make a pit stop at the FX3 and see if that was the solution. It turns out it was, and I'm very, very happy. I took the chance and did the stupid thing to just buy a camera, sell a camera, and buy a camera again. But worth it, totally worth it. I really do enjoy the fact that I now own the Sony FX3. It definitely does work for what I do and how I shoot. It may not work for everybody. Blackmagics may be the better choice. Canon C70s may be the better choice. The FX6 may be the better choice for you. But for what I do, this is a solution. And I am very, very happy with that. But with that all being said, that's all I have for today, guys. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you loved it, consider subscribing, because I'm gonna be bringing you more content just like this every week. So you guys stay safe, you love, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.